coming in to do my card of the day a little later than normal, or a little later today. So I just want to make sure I have people in. And today we are talking about my deck of Oracle cards that are new and just getting ready to hopefully get into publishing very, very soon. So it's the Everyday Goddess Oracle. I come in to share a card every day. So we are coming up to the full moon energy tomorrow. Just trying to bring up on my phone. My phone keeps shutting down. So I'm just waiting for people to join in. If you're new and you're watching, you're wondering why it's so quiet, I'm waiting. Just waiting and waiting. Hello, Tracy. So just catching my breath. It's a very kind of odd day. The weather's freezing here in Alberta. It was very beautiful, almost spring-like, and then it just turned freezing cold again. But it's also an odd day in the energy. Hello, my sweet cherry. Thanks for watching in. And so this day is a very odd kind of energy day. It's the full moon energy is very odd, and I don't think it's just the moon. It's not all about the moon. It's some very weird energy around it. But I left the house and I'm like, I had to go bring some stuff to my partner, to my common law husband, who was leaving town again, and I had to go bring some stuff. And I'm like, I think there was a reason why I was being put. He forgot this is synchronicity. He forgot the bedding for his bunk in his transport truck. I had to bring it to him, and on the way back, I looked at the sun, and there was a big rainbow around the sun. And so, even no matter what the energy is today, it feels very weird. There's still beauty out there, and so there's a beautiful rainbow around the sun. And I feel like what it really meant, what it really said to me, what it spoke to me was that, even the sun is protected. The sun is, the sun is reflecting back at itself the beauty. So if we can't see beauty everywhere else, we have to reflect it back at ourselves. So if you're not seeing it around you today, reflect it back, because you have enough beauty inside to light up your world. And let your own light be the light that makes you shine today. Look into your own light. Don't look into what somebody else is doing. Look into your own light and see the beauty within. And that's kind of where what I'm feeling is that there's a whole lot of weird energy out there, and I'm a channel. So if you're new and you're just following me, I work as a channel. I'm a prophetess. I'm a prophet to the messages. I channel through the divine and all the others that are out there. And so I never allow ego to get into the message. So my past few vlogs, like forecast energy, is I can't be a cheerleader for what's not existing. And so you don't get to go through the file and say, show me that we're really good kids. Show me, give me, let me see that I'm doing good even though I'm not. And so that's not the way channeling works. Channeling has to be honest, authentic. You can't manipulate it. Well, you can try. Often you see ego manipulating the energy to try to make it what they want it to be, and I can't manipulate it. So if you're watching my vlog and you're seeing that video, that's like that person that came after me this week, that's all in the energy. That's all out there. And so when you recognize that all of this is happening to everyone, even when they don't even know about energy, they forget that their energy, we get so attached to the fact that we are a human being. Like sometimes it's like, oh, I'm this person, I matter more than anything else. But your energy, everything is energy. That air floating around you is energy. Everything is created of energy, which means we're all the same. And so it's some strange energy. So you see some strangeness happening in people. So today I'm introducing my card of the soul connection. And it is, like I said, it's later in the day compared to what I've been trying to come in, but we're here, and I'm still just letting people come in. The room is filling up. Yeah, Tracy. Plus the spam, on top of the spamming that we get. That was earlier in the week. So I had to take a stand for all people that they list as witches, all people that they include that they don't understand or is doing something different than they're doing, then they're witches. So what I say I'm so blessed to be who I am and to do what I do is because of my open mind. Because I have such an open mind to be able, and I'm not saying I've perfected the open mind. I'm saying I really try to not judge and to be a little more open minded. And a big blessing of that is like this week, I'm in a group. I'm in these groups where we just audio speak and we don't get to talk to each other in like through video. So you don't see each other, you just speak. And it kind of takes away a lot of judgments. And so these groups that are there, one is about people who are previously have been in sex, like the sex trade or working in like gentlemen clubs and those type of things. And these are all people who have found their way back home by stepping into spirituality, by really taking ownership and responsibility of, I'm only responsible for me, not responsible for everything that's happened to me in the past, what everyone did to me, I don't have to carry. And so they've come through these big healing journeys, and they've allowed themselves to just fully embrace and not to be ashamed of where they've been. It's a part of their past. It's, you never know how somebody ends up where they end up. You never know how somebody has to end up having to be taking care of themselves or just trying to survive. And basically that's all everybody's trying to do in the world, is just trying to survive. And so these beautiful people that were in this group were all such amazing people. Their stories were incredible. I'm like, it's such a humbling experience. But if I had been judgmental, I would have not even thought of entering in that group. I would have been like right away being like the man that came after me and would have been on the attack. Why am I so, why do we become so offended by somebody else's views or the fact that somebody else don't think like we do? Right. And so I'm so thankful for what I do. I'm so thankful for the ability to look beyond, to see beyond, and to let my ego get out of the way, to not be so connected to this human and so taking the world so personally, because the world is it's kind of gotten very personal. We truly believe it's all about us somehow. And so it's like being able to move beyond there. But our card of the day is Soul Connection, and it's Vedoma. And we're at card number 24. We're day 25 in doing this, but we're card number 24. And we're card number 24 because there's 45 cards in a deck, but we have a 0. So 0 started as day 1. So we're always like we're that one day behind the actual day. So the numbers don't match. And I'm not sure if you see that on there, but YouTube sees it. And this is on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. It's broadcasting on both. So both of you are maybe seeing this different top banner. So this card is Vedoma. And she's from my deck of Oracle cards. So that's the reason why there's only one card up on the screen, is that you're seeing my card. It may have cut out, Tracy. My internet has been crazy today. So it may have cut out. So this is the back of the Oracle cards. And no, that's not true. I don't want to tell a fib because that's not a truth. I don't like to tell that. So let me show you the truth. So the cards now, this is what the back of the cards look like when I first start. This is a door, believe it or not. And somebody would say, well, that's not a door. How's that a door? That's a door. That's a portal. That's a door. That's a door of possibility, a door of opportunity to be able to move beyond our shadows, beyond our need to be right, our need to judge, our need to be critical and criticizing people. And so this is the new look. And so the new look has the maiden, the mother, the crone energy. And it's the stages in which we go through life. The more awake and aware we become, and I mean awakened to ourselves, the more wisdom that we get, and we stop and pause and think and we contemplate, the more life experience that we receive. And I always say I may be 50 years old, but if someone's 70 years old, 80 years old, I know they have more years on this earth than I have. I may have wisdom and I may have unknowing wisdom, but I do not know it all. So all-knowing wisdom is very different than knowing it all. Human knowing it all is a different story. And I've seen things up on this earth in the past few months that I'm like, I didn't think I'd ever see this, but I'm seeing it. So this is the card. So the soul connection is that beautiful visibility of when someone walks from behind the veil, when she walks out, when she makes a choice to be her, to be all of herself, to let her raw, real, vulnerable self to be exposed, to know that, she has the power to create her life is in her hands, and that she has that ability. And so that soul connections, that she's connected so much to her soul, she's connected so much to letting the ego go, that she's able to help others connect to their soul. That when we let go, when we can see through the eyes of others, when we can see ourselves, but then we can see that good in others. But there's a big difference in being an empath and being sympathetic, being empath and being empathetic to everything. So you don't have to take on everybody's stuff. We're not here to fix everything. And so when people say, well, you fix us, you're the one that can do this. No, I can't fix you. All the power is in your own hands. We all have the power within. When we find our way into letting ourselves be our truth, is that I can speak to the only reason that makes it so possible for me to speak to spirit is that I'm not limited by the ego of the human. And that's the difference. I don't get stuck and get afraid that, oh my God, a ghost is going to appear. That ghost is the same as me. That ghost is us, right? And so the only thing that makes us any different is that we have a human body. Some of us call it meat suits, some of us call it, your other skin, but inside of there, that light, that being, that breath that keeps you alive, that keeps you here, we all have that exact same light inside of us. We're all there. That's where we are, right? And so when you can see that, so people say, well, I mean, how can you speak to spirit if I don't have you in person? Like, I don't know how this works. If I'm not in person with you, how can you connect? And I'm like, well, spirit's all over. And so these spirits are walking around you all the time. This energy, because it's all energy, this energy is always around you. And so when we're doing some psychic work, is that you can have all this stuff in your energy, and if a psychic is really truly, if you're trying to push to get exactly what you want to hear from it, and that's what you project out, and that's the energy, and you block a psychic from being able to help you, well, they're reading your energy. So they're reading what you want them to read. So it's like that energy is out there. As a medium, I'm speaking to something other than yours. I'm not looking in your energy. I do both, but I'm not looking in your energy. I'm speaking to an energy that was once the existence, the holographic view of somebody that was in your life. And I ask for that information. So I ask for information based on the energy that was once present within your life. And that's how we get that. And so by being able to let yourself go, not limit your thought process, not limit your belief, and not be so, only to be so caught up in that one perception, because opinions, um, expectations, our imagination. So your expectations, when you look at expectations, it's actually imagination. It's the fantasy life. You're dreaming up the fantasy life. You're starting to dream ahead of what you want somebody else to be, what you want the next step to be. So when you have those expectations, you plan out in your head, you create. So you're going to have a dinner party. Everybody's going to come. Everybody's going to act this way. Everybody's going to be this way. Everybody's going to be this happy or whatever you want them to be. And they're all going to be that energy. And you plan that out in your head. And then the next thing is you have to move into the new now, which is then the reality. Right? So you get into the now, into that moment, and you've created this image in your head and you've planned it all out. But you didn't plan for anyone else to come in with their energy. You just planned an image of how everyone was going to behave and respond based on what you designed it to be. And then when they don't, you're upset, you're disappointed, you didn't get what you want. And then I'm not doing that no more. I don't know why I try to do all this good for people when nobody appreciates it. Then you get caught in there. So we start to create that life. Whereas reality is right now. Right now, I know so instead of, expectation, instead of there, right now, I know I'm planning for this event. I'm unsure of exactly as it goes. So I don't know if everybody will come. I don't know if there'll be one or two extra. So I'll cook one or two extra. I'll prepare for this. I'll do these little things. So aiming for a good evening, aiming for things to be great, accomplishing things. That's kind of, how we start to allow ourselves to live more connected to the reality. Soul connection is recognizing that I never ever left this connection. It's that I don't have to plan for a relationship with my soul self. When we do this awakening, it is not about fixing or healing because we get caught in our head. Oh, I can't wait for my soul to awaken and to do the work so that my soul feels like it's cleansed, my spirit feels like it's cleansed. It didn't need you at all. And sadly, most of the people in our lives didn't need us to put expectations on. When you tell somebody, when you have these high expectations on people, or you start trying to change them, what you're telling them is that you're better than them. I think I'm better than me. I think I got a better view, and I think I can do this better for you. It's like that whole sense of you start to imagine your ideal partner, your ideal life. And so soul connection is about letting it all go. Letting it all go. In that crystal ball, in that crystal ball, I can do what we call scrying. And I can scry and I can see some future events, but they're what we call possibilities. So they're possibilities. This is possible, but this depends on what you are going to do. What actions are you going to take? What responsibility will you take to show up? Are you going to keep trying to manipulate the world to try to make the world to do what you want it to do? Or are you going to do something that's in your highest good to start to bring this change forward? Right. And so people say, oh, tell me exactly what he's going to look like. I want to know exactly what he's going to look like. If I told somebody exactly what their partner was going to look like all the time, well, you would lose many possibilities, many opportunities to find someone who may have looked like that previously. If I say they had a beard, they may have a beard in this moment, but when you meet them, they may not have the beard, right? And it's because it's divine timing, not human time. Human time is control. And so when we do this work and we see into here, it's like, what I give is I see somebody who's kind. I see somebody who's, got their shit together, but they'll always give you something to tell you, you know what? You'll you'll be somewhere and you'll see this. There's something about this. And those are the little things. It's the little droplets. It's the little keys that you get, the little droplets of hope, faith that you have, that if I make the change in me, if I do all the right things for me, then there's a possibility that I am actually walking towards my best life. And that's how it works. And so when you keep that expectation of it's your job is to tell me, no, my job is to give you droplets. My job is to help you be able to shift and change your energy. My job is to be able to speak to the spirit who's telling you what you need to do, because it's not their job to do it for you either. It is your job and you have to do it. And we bring it all back to us. And that's when it starts to really come back to me, when I start to really take ownership and responsibility for my life, that's when I really started to question things like, and I mean, I'm pretty curious. So I started to question things like the pyramids. I started to question I started to question many things of even people that we give such high regard to, or such businesses that we support so much. I start looking at diamonds. Like I start to look at things of where we place value and how we believe everything and how we get so caught up. And I would say, my job's not to convince you to believe me. My job is to help you believe in yourself, to have faith in you, to trust that you have something so amazing inside of you. And if we can move the shadows, if we can take you through the veils of the illusions, the fantasies you've created, the blockages, the hate, the angers, the expectations, all of those things that you've placed upon yourself. If I can help guide you through those, and that then you can see you, then you're not going to be trying to be a character. You're not going to try to be. But I start questioning things like, okay, well, if the pyramids are so spectacular and we worship, not worship, we look at them in such awe and we think of the engineering that went into it. We think of all the, oh my God, the person that would have created that, wow, Like, imagine the person that would have created that, how they came up with that, how that happened. But we don't think of the suffering and misery. We don't think that that was all built by slaves and how many people died to make sure that happened. How many people died so that now, this many years down the road, we've got this beautiful pyramids to look at, right? Because we look at the admiration of the people that created that. So it's the same thing as being in suit and following through on, we wonder why people um, keep chasing the people that harm them the most or hurt them the most. And it's like, because you keep wanting to see the best. Because we keep wanting to see the best. But sometimes the thing with being a Bedoma is that we're very aware of reality. We're very real because we know the hurt story, and we stop suppressing it, and we stopped hiding it, and we stopped pretending it wasn't real, and we stopped believing the stories when someone would say to us, "Oh, just don't say nothing. Just keep that like it." They didn't really mean to do that much harm to you. They really weren't that bad. When we wake up and we realize, yeah, you know what? That really freaking sucked and that really hurt. And that cost me 30, 40 years just for me to keep you comfortable. Right. And so that's the way we look at it. And when we start to question that deeper level, it's like, okay, so we admire the engineers, we admire the people that did that, that came up with that idea. That's beautiful. That's brilliant. But at what cost did that go up? At what cost is it to get this new world they're all talking about? At what cost is all of this happening? And that's, Vidoma in herself is that she's very aware that there's a lot of ghost, right? There's a lot of ghost. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of versions. There's a lot of things. And that she just can't see the pretty. She just can't. And so every time that she just tried to do the butterflies and rainbow life, it never worked. Because that's what took her farther away from herself. And that's often where we are, is that the more that we try to force a life, the more that we try to pretend, we can't step into our light because it's an imposter light. It's an imposter light. So when I look at some of the big companies, and they, oh, we donate here and we donate there, but where are you making your products? And at what cost is it for us to get the cheaper price? But we don't look at the cheaper price. All we want is it cheaper. What's it costing? And I remember being on a holiday one time and someone said, why didn't you bargain that? Why didn't you bargain down on that pair of flip-flops? Like, you could have got those shoes way cheaper. You could have got them down to a way cheaper price. And I said, it's a funny thing, because when those exact same people come to our country, come to Canada, and they live and they go to work, and they come in and they try to bargain you down, you're insulted. How dare? And it was in the hair salon. And like, I can't believe they're trying to get that price cheaper. Like, and I said, well, you were just in their country, and they needed the money way worse than we probably needed in that moment. And you did that to them. You had no problem. You thought it was totally, well, that's different. I said, what makes it different? Bad behavior is bad behavior. When we don't look at the cost of our own actions and our own behaviors and what collateral damage we left behind. So that was a big thing. I looked at what my attitude was doing. I looked at the collateral damage I was leaving behind in my family, in my people, by me having a shitty attitude, by me being all upset and not taking the time to ask or question or what was it they needed. So a beautiful thing about stepping into Vidoma is she knows all sides. She knows what it's like. So she's more open-minded, and she's willing to ask, she's willing to question, and she's willing to look beyond even the person. So she's not so willing to, she's more connected to energy. And when you become so much more connected to, you see me tomorrow? It's funny. I just looked down and seen all these messages. I went, oh my God, where was I just all this time? Okay, I'll come back to these messages. So it's like the more that we get into connecting to energy, connecting to third, fourth, fifth dimensions, the more that we start to live connected to here and realize that missed a lot. I don't know where I just was channeling. I was channeling. And so there's a lot that's going on around us. Like me not seeing that. But it's like, but knowing that you're not here to perfect it or fix it. And those expectations is imagination. So our reality that we want to create is our illusions that we believe are of our reality. Like, oh, if I don't see it happening, it's not happening. If I just, if I don't see the world, if I don't see the world, it's not here. But our fears and insecurities will be the most crippling thing to us. And on top of that, our extremes. When we go to the extremes to be able to stay in the story, it is crippling. So if you look beautifully in this picture, you can see a lot of faces. You can see a lot of things. There's a lot of beauty. And her shoes are purple. And her purple shoes knows that she trusts and walks towards what her third eye shows her, what she is actually seeing beyond what her human eyes. She knows that she can place her hand up on that ball, and there's so much to see inside of that crystal ball. But there's so much to see around her. We don't focus on the crystal ball. We focus on the energy that's around her. And you see there's so many things and so many possibilities that she gets the choice to choose. So our choice to choose is when we do the things that are of the highest good. Do the things, and I don't mean for the highest good of our insecurities and fears. I mean for the highest good of the God consciousness. Okay. So I seen Tracy's about the video. Hello, hello, hello to everybody who's joining in. You just got home, Ellie? Good afternoon. Raina, 3 days in a row, and I get off the phone with the same person, and the message resonates every time. Can't make this shit up. Yeah, exactly, right, Raina? Just can't make it up. Hello from Ontario, Shelley. And Rhonda, hello. And Tracy. Our job is to listen and do for ourselves, right? And Raina, and now, and how much of me keeps dying with keeping up with the expectations of the story of what a role of a person should play in my life. I'm learning. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Lorene, hello, Lorene. You see a lot of power around her, and she don't. Well, that speaks a lot, doesn't it? Like there's so much. So friends, when you see that, like, so anybody who's looking at that card, what does that card resonate for you today? What does that make you feel like today? Like, what are you feeling from that card today? And the whole point of the cards is that to share them is that I love to see how the card resonates with you, what you're feeling when you're seeing this card, what it makes you feel like, because this is about our attitudes, right? You just got home from work as well. Hey, Angie. So yeah, and Kathy, hello, or Catherine, hello. I see you up there. Uh, Tracy, I know. It is what it is. It is what it is. They're unaware. I don't know if they try to be cruel. I think it's more unaware. More unaware than anything. So if you've seen my vlog today, that's also up. So it's on my YouTube, but I shared it on the Facebook page, which I keep saying I'm not going to do anymore, but I keep sharing it over there. But that's also up. Sorry. But let me validate this. I do have a few more minutes. I have a client shortly here, but okay. Let's give a validation to Vidoma. Angel energy, protection all the way around her. Yes. Sweet Ellie. That's our name for Ellie now, hey? Sweet Ellie. Our sweet Ellie. Okay. So I have the new style of cards like this ordered. So I'm hoping that'll be the last beta deck and I can get the cards then in. Hopefully I'll be fully happy with the cards. Oh, they're just like being like the energy out there today. If you're hearing a lot of noise, that's my dog behind me. They're like licking each other's heads. Okay. Oh, Beatrice. This is beautiful Beatrice card. So this is Beatrice. She's the card to come out. She's our validation. Frazzled little Beatrice. I wish whoa. Hold on. My whole computer just went zooming over to the side. I wish I may, I wish I might. And so this is, when we become attached to an outcome, when we become attached to our expectations, it's that whole Beatrice. She's like, and so the bee, she defies all odds. It's like, if you just let go. What are we attached to? What attachments do we keep holding on to? Is it part of our identity? Is it a story? Is it our fears, our insecurities? There's one thing to have faith, but by having faith and hope, it means that you're willing to let go and to trust. And I always say in surrendering, when you're taking any of my training in that stuff, is we get you to let go of even the things you love the most. Because if you have faith, you'll know that the things that you love the most will be there. But it's so hard. We hold on so tight. And when we hold on so tight to situations, stories, relationships, and we start to lose ourselves and we get lost and we're wondering why we're lost. We're wondering why we're not feeling like ourselves. We're wondering why our energy's low. So the same thing, if we're in a relationship with what's happening out in the world, if you become very much in a relationship that you got to watch everything, you keep getting involved in everything, you become a keyboard warrior, you're involved in all the drama. Like if you stay attached to that, you don't realize how much you're losing yourself and how quickly we lose ourselves. But holding on to unhealthy relationships, notice both got a crystal ball today. You notice that, right? So she's scrying. She's still, it's not saying give up on not to have your wishes. It's not saying not to have your wishes and not to have your dreams. It is saying not to be so tied to to a specific outcome of them that you don't need to know exactly what it looks like. Is that if you have faith and trust that the things that will be in alignment to giving you the most beautiful life, the happiest life, are there for you. It's all in the possibilities for us. And so, right? And so the crystal ball is not about giving you the exact answer. It's about you having trust, you having faith, you knowing that that fortunate life is there. What are you doing? So because it's up to you. You have to defy the odds. You have to do something. You have to believe in the magic within you. You have to have faith and you have to trust that journey. And trust me, I get there myself. It's like we all get there. It's not that every part of our fears and insecurities are gone. It's just that we get enough faith in ourselves that we have the courage to move beyond our fear, that we don't become crippled in it. When we become frozen, it's like that. That's that fight or flight or fright. It's fright and flight or fright and freeze. When we fright and freeze, so just like the goats. So when you fright and freeze and you can't say nothing and you fright and freeze. And that's one of the trauma responses. And when you get frozen and how you scare a goat and it falls over and it's like freezing, and people call that funny, but it's the trauma on that poor little goat. And that's protection, right? So the goat does that so don't get killed. So something thinks it's dead. So when we do that, when we freeze, it's that we actually are paralyzed. When you become paralyzed with your fear, you become paralyzed by your insecurities. When you become paralyzed by somebody else's story and it holds you and gets you captive, then it's like it's hard to be able to move beyond that. So this whole sense of being able to move forward is that you just need the courage to take one step, because it means you're not frozen. It means that you're truly just take one step, baby steps, do one little thing. Yes, one-sided friendships. And it's not that you have to say you're enemies with people. You just need to start not being so available. It's about just not making yourself so available, Linda. Right? Right where you believe, Amy, there's magic. This is resonating with you? Good. Ellie, I'm a freezer. Right. And so many people are. It's like you don't know how to respond. And people are like, why didn't you say something back? Why didn't you answer? And it's because you're paralyzed in fear. And what happens is that you start to respond, you start to when you're triggered, you start to think of every past experience that was unsafe, where you were attacked and where that energy was coming at you. And so it's like that you, Catherine, I didn't realize that's why I was not getting things accomplished the last 2 days, right? Yeah. Told you there's always messages for everybody in here. My screen is so much farther away. I have the MacBook, the desktop that's like the 27-inch or whatever, the big one, and I used to have the small one, and now it's like I got to look far away to see everything. I'm open to mutually giving friendship that helps me grow. Yes. There you go. Good one. That's a good one. Yeah. So we freeze and we don't realize. And what you're doing is that you think of everything, every scenario, everything that could go wrong, and you can't get that voice out. And so when you know you're safe, when you know you're comfortable in your own skin, when you know that, that's that you can blah. Sorry guys, my neurological condition has been horrible this week, this week. So if I'm stuttering or it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's not. It's my neurological condition. I have to stop and say that because it's frustrating me. And so my own voice, my own loss of words is not that I don't know my own cards. It's my neurological. So I have a delay between my brain and my mouth type of thing. The words, I know what I want to say. It does not come out. There is such a delay. And the delay is so messed up. So I'm misfiring. So I have some serious misfiring happening, but I refuse to let it stop me anymore because I almost let it stop me from doing any of this work. And I refuse to let it stop me because someone used to make such fun of me for this. And I used to get that look like what is wrong with you, and so I started to freeze. I started to freeze up and I started to shut up, and I never spoke for a long time. I really truly only spoke when I was behind a chair. I stopped going around people. I stopped being in groups because it was something that it became an issue. So I refuse to stop speaking anymore. I refuse. So even on my worst days of my voice, I'm still here. So it may seem like I'm like I have no idea what I'm saying or doing, but that's not a truth. That's only the illusion of the truth. And so people can believe it to be true, or they can ask me why. So, and I don't mind people asking me why. And when people ask me why, like I was driving one day with one of my nephews and he said, "Aunt Corey, when did you get a stutter?" Like, I didn't know you had a stutter. And I said, "Buddy, I don't have it." I said, "That's my neurological." And I said, "Thank you for asking me. I appreciate you asking me." And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't making fun." And I'm like, "No, you did the right thing. You asked me. Instead of assuming, you asked." And that's such a big thing. So whoever that message is for, don't assume, ask. Well, it's a little bit more than just having faith. Is there's some steps that go into this, Catherine, but it's recognizing this is not my past. That's the first thing that you have to say to yourself. I'm not the person. This is not my past. I'm not the person that was in that past situation. The past situation is not alive. That's the first thing you tell yourself. Nope, the past situation is not alive. So I can't have an imaginary image of what I think the ending is going to be like or what I think the response is going to be. This is not the past. I'm not the person that was in the past. This is not the past situation. Really, truly remind yourself that you're right here. I'm right here. I'm right now. I'm right here. I'm right now. I'm not in the past. And that truly starts to bring your awareness back. Loud and clear, Lisa? Right? Yes, yes, Lorraine. It can be frustrating. It really can. So, like I say, I got a crystal ball, but I don't know what my future looks like. Faith, not fear. Don't assume, ask. That's a message most of us need to hear. Yes, right? Do not assume, ask. Because assumption makes an ass out of us, right? But assumption is also that Imagination. We start to create a story around what we assume. Oh, I just made up the story. I just got a message and I'm assuming that's what they think. I'm assuming that's what they mean. And I take, so now I've got this whole story. They hate me. They don't like me. It's these whole things. And so people say, oh, I passed you and you didn't see me, or you didn't speak to me. And I'm like, I didn't see you. Oh, but you were looking. I said, but I didn't see you. Just because I'm looking don't mean I see you, right? And so sometimes when you're caught in those moments or in a crowd, people say, oh, you can be so snobby when you're in a crowd. You don't come into the crowd. You don't see you get in the middle of the crowd. Like, how come you just don't come sit with everybody? And I'm like, because I can't hear. Because when I get in there, my neurological goes absolutely nuts. On top of the fact of what I do, I have the neurological, so I'm hearing everything. What you guys hear on a of hearing a table full of people, I hear that amplified. So I don't just hear the humans that are around. I hear all the spirits that are around. I hear the energy. I hear the vibration in music. I hear the vibration when a chair moves. Like, my hearing don't hear so well the humans as what it hears out there. So I have this supersonic kind of hearing, but I also have a neurological. So when I go out somewhere and people say, well, you don't come in and talk, come outside the circle where I am and come to me if you want to speak to me, because I can't go. A lot of times that's a very hard place for me to be. And I can't hear what anyone else is saying. And I get so in the energy that I have to keep myself like quiet and calm to just be able to hear everything. So, when you start to look at even little things that we have of why our body does things for us, it's protecting us often. But it's also, that's not me freezing. That's me knowing what causes me to be able to be more frustrated. And I don't want to live a frustrated life. I want to live a happy life. So I choose to do the things that help me live a healthy life, a happy life. And so that means that I don't do all the things that everyone else does. It means I do things my way, because I'm not everybody else. I make who I am work for me. And that's a truth. You have to make who you are work for you. And then our next validation card, I got one, I can do this one last one. Hold on. I love, love, love this card. And so this card has not been out yet. You haven't seen her, I don't think. Well, two women in this card. I got to scroll down to find her. This is paraphony, and benevolence. And, she's not being phony. She's being all of herself. So some people say, when people are being so happy and so cheerful and they're just happy people, often someone say, well, she's just being phony. She's trying to be the center of attention. And no, she's being totally herself, real, true. She's just showing the love. She just knows who she is. And the woman behind, we're not going to assume that she's like jealous or envious. She's admiring. So she's admiring who she is. She's admiring that she's got courage to wear her sparkly dress and to stand out. She's admiring that she's just like smiling and she's happy and she's flowing. And so when you live in admiration of happiness and joy, you start to become happier yourself. When you can start to understand, I'm like, maybe I should just look up benevolence, because it's one of the parts of being the virtuous life, and that benevolent being, and just trying to be that sentient benevolent being was to be a good human. Humanity matters. And so, because that's what matters, is humanity matters, is that being kind to each other is the most crucial thing that we have to start doing for ourselves in this world, and to find and to start to find that life and to find that truth, and to start to know that we have to start reaching out to each other. So both are happy. One just got a whole different look than the other one got. One is raw, she's real, she's trying to learn to be her, she's accepting all of her, whereas the other one has fully accepted her, she's embraced her. So she's admiring she's admiring the one who has just found, that knows herself, and she's in admiration of that. So she's raw, she's naked, she's there, admiring. I can't wait to be able to put myself out there. So she's starting to turn towards herself. She's turning towards walking out. She's no longer kind of facing in. She's starting to come forward. And so that's when we can be a much kinder human being when we can be not an unhealthy influence, or we could not assume things about people, but we start to be able to see the with admiration the great qualities in people and see the beauty in people, and to see when people are shining that we don't need to be jealous of each other when somebody's achieving something that we're not getting yet. Say, oh my, that would be lovely. Like, it'd be so nice to get there. I'm so happy for that person. And you often see it's hard to be happy for people. Like, it's a hard thing for the world to be happy for each other. And um and we're and we're actually moving farther and farther away from, sadly, it's like we're, as much as we'd like to say, but we're moving farther and farther away from that connection and that human connection. And it's time for us to start being able to bring that human connection back in and really truly connect to each other, right? And to be present with each other, to be present, reach out, right? Reach out to each other. Suppressing it does not work. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It does not work. Linda, yes, I'm busting out of my shell. I'm excited to see that spark every day. All that doesn't serve me in crumbling to the ground. Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Raina. It's easy to be just a human and to, oh, I'm just human. So we can use the, oh, I'm just human as an excuse for all of our bad behavior. But after my thing this week, somebody sent me one of those little memes, and it said, okay, we look at the witch as the problem, but why do we not look at the fact that we burnt humans because we labeled them? Why why is that not a problem? Why is those people not a problem? Why is that kind of energy not a problem? Why? Because we've justified, well, they were witches and they were bad people, and we had to clear out society and we had to make it the right kind of world. No, it was humanity, and we're human beings, and we're all and so what gives anybody the right to believe that just because we think a little bit differently, or because we want to build a world that was so controlled by one thought process, that putting women and men on a stake, or the people that put Jesus on a cross, whatever you want to look at it, however you want to look at it, how come that wasn't our focus for the rest of time after those moments ever happened? How come it's not our focus now? Because we want to justify that behavior. We want to try to get back into the illusions. We want to create a false comfortable, right? We don't want to have to face our real truth. Whereas you look at these cards, is that they're facing their truth. They're looking either which way, they're all looking, they're all seeing, they're all admiring what can be, what is possible. But it is about the purity that's in humanity that we had. We need to return to that. It is dignity, right? And being able to see that we don't mind sharing our love, our joy. We can live on love. We can power up on love, but we cannot ignore the behavior and pretend we're a good person when we are fully allowing those other things to be okay, because it is not okay. It is not okay. Yes, thank you, Ashley. Yes, Ashley who sent it to me. We decided, so this is right, and this was the post. Thank you, Ashley. We de- who decides who decides witches are the problem and not the people burning humans alive? Who decides witches are the problem and not the people burning humans alive? Do you see the problem? But for many years, throughout time, we see circles and cycles of this, that we didn't look at the fact that they were burning human beings alive. And so this is where we got to get back to humanity, because we are disconnecting further and further and further away by justifying those things. So the beauty of today It's not assuming that we are superior over anybody. It's by admiring the beauty and the admiration. It's about looking deeper, going beyond our own words. So, like I said, when I had to take ownership and responsibility for my own life, when I seen my own bad behavior, when I seen my own attitude, when I seen my own self justifying, then I had to start looking deeper. And to be able to be that benevolent being, to be able to walk towards me being who I really truly want to to live on purpose. It was not about a job, it's not about a career, it's not about being a celebrity. It's about humanity. It's about being the best human being that I could be, to be the change in me, to be able to see in my reflection what I want to see in this world. And that's the difference. And that's not me getting to decide who's enough for this world. That's me saying, if we don't have to fully be respect the behaviors, we don't, and hopefully all the behaviors will change. But dignity, dignity, it is huge. And so being able to admire those who are walking in their light and being proud of them, be able to accept that we don't have the same views, be able to accept that people, whatever way we find that truly bring us home to the God consciousness, to the light in us, whatever we find that allows us to do this, that's where it happens. And it's not about loving yourself at the cost of the whole world. So if loving you has cost everyone else that you've left behind, if it cost all of them everything, then what does it cost? What is the cost of me getting what I want? And that's what I ask myself. What is the cost? Because in my book, I speak of a story of myself and my mom. And I speak of my mom going through her difficult times, and I speak of it, it's in the book, so I'm allowed to speak of these things. And so I speak of the times when she was really freaking struggling. She was making a lot of shitty choices, but I was a healer. I was working with clients who were in the same situations, and I was supporting, backing them, telling them that it was going to be okay. But I wanted my mom. I wanted my mother to be my mother. I wanted my mom to be what I expected a mother to be. I wanted her to be there for me. I wanted to be everything she couldn't be. And so I was yelling at her. I was getting angry at her. I was blocking her out of my life. I was doing all those things because it was so painful for us in that experience. And so we both ended up having, years that we wasted. I couldn't change her experience. I couldn't make that any different for her. That was her journey that she had to take. So I would tell my story and I would rant it to anyone who would listen about what my mother was doing to me. Oh, she's doing this to me, she's doing that, and if only she'd make those changes, and all I want to do is just love her. Well, all I had to do was love her. That's all I had to do. I didn't have to agree with her. Had to stop trying to save her. So my desperate desires and my expectations and the inner child that wasn't healed, those things truly were what I had to start calling myself out on. And until you can see it, you don't realize the places that you do that. So I had to be honest with myself, and it came after somebody else came after me and start calling me out. And so after that, I'm like, you know what? There might be a little bit of truth to what they just said about me. I'm not going to say it's not all true because there's some truth to that. I'm not going to be offended. I'm going to explore myself deeper. So I transmuted my anger. I was angry. And I transmuted my anger to love. And in that, I could tell that story a whole lot different. I could write a story of love. I could be there for my mom. Of course, you have to have boundaries, and I couldn't save her. But the day that she decides that she was going to make her changes for her, well, of course I could be there. But me yelling at her, me ruining what I had a mother. It just wasn't the kind of mother I wanted. And so I still had one. I still had what I needed. I was a grown ass woman. I wasn't two. So I had to get beyond that and to accept what she had to give because that's all she had at the time. And we are best friends. We are like best friends. We're more like sisters. But the idea of what a mother-daughter relationship was going to be was never to be. Not the way that I had dreamt it in my head. We weren't Little House on the Prairie, right? And you can't be Little House on the Prairie. And so I now have the relationship that I can have. We have a good relationship. There's things that change, and it wasn't her that had to change. It was me that had to change. It was me. I made those changes in me. And that's where we have to go a little bit beyond what we often say. So, and move beyond that. Yeah. And there's a whole lot about that in the book of More Than Existing. So, her and I have been together for 50 years. And we're actually 20 years apart. So, I mean, when you look back then, when you can see their stories, when you can see where they've been, what they've been through, and what they've had to give. And I said, when I look back now, I think, thank God I had the mother I had. Thank God that she, I don't know how she did the things she did. I don't know how she even managed to do the things that she did do so well. But she raised me. She raised me. She was there for me. And she did a lot of greatness, and she's still there for me. So, and she allowed me to write these stories. She knows the journey. And her only thing of me doing this work that she was so fearful of, which she don't speak in her beginning stories, was her fear of this, was the fear of somebody hurting me. And that was her biggest fear of me doing all this work. And so I use these stories, her and I we use these stories so that we can, hopefully that these stories of where we were and where we are able to help somebody else and inspire someone else. So if this message helps you somewhere today, then I am very thankful and I am blessed. And if it's not for you, then it doesn't resonate, then you can reject it. Doesn't mean you have to accept it. It's not always for everybody. Tomorrow is your birthday, Ellie? Go to Tim's drive-thru and pay for the person behind me as a gift. This was something Grady loved to do. I drove away smiling, feeling good. I love that. And it's your birthday. Right? That woman has so much energy, it blows my mind. Yes, Ashley. Yes, Ashley, she's going to be, my mother's going to be 70 next week. I know she's going to be like, message me. Why the hell did you say I'm going to be 70? I'm like, well, I'm going to be 50. So she's going to be 70 next week, and she can still run a freaking marathon around me. So the woman is like superwoman, and she's still absolutely beautiful. If you've never seen my mother, if you've never seen a picture of her, someday you will, probably one of the books, but she is stunning. Um, so to all those people in our lives that have shown us kindness, to all those people that we see a reflection that are courageous enough to be totally, fully confident and happy in their skin, what can I learn from them? To not turn away from ourselves, but to start walking towards us. To not be so caught up in what the future looks like, but to know that you have the opportunity to make choices now to create the most beautiful future. To really start to be able to look beyond our words, our own actions, and to get real honest with ourselves. It changes not everyone else's lives, it changes our lives. And I hope in some way that these cards helped you today. And thank you for being with me. I do have to go. I have a client. Much love to you all, and I will see you all next week. Somewhere. Next week. No, sorry. Tomorrow's not next week. You'll see me tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you then. Much love. Bye-bye.